My name is Thorsten Terweiden, as I was introduced, and in previous years I have worked as the fintech lead for Invest Hong Kong, based in London. What that meant was I helped, my team and I helped UK and European fintech companies to set up operations in Hong Kong, and the list included in the last year we had a good run, Revolut, TransferWise, eBury, and Checkout, to name but a few of the my bigger clients. And we help them with government regulations and to navigate Hong Kong as a fintech ecosystem. So over the years, I've been involved in a humble way in, let's say, accompanying and supporting ecosystems that were built. And let me start by saying, famous Hollywood actress Audrey Hepburn once said, "Paris is always a good idea." And I would add, and so is Vienna. Who agrees with me? Do you like Vienna? Good. Who is from Vienna? Oh, okay, great. Who is from outside Europe? Okay, we have a few. Great, great. Excellent. Good to know. Thank you. Right, let's go straight in. And I have prepared a few points here for you. So these, I think, are some of the fundamental elements you can read for yourself that are needed to build a comprehensive fintech ecosystem. Obviously, it's good to have the government support. It's good to have the progressive regulators. And what I learned is interesting that similar to the UK, the authorities here are considering to create a fintech regulatory sandbox. And that's another positive sign of a fintech-friendly environment here. You also need a progressive central bank. You need the right access to talent and also develop the talent. And that, of course, is where the higher education is coming in. I would sum this up under government support. And it's quite interesting that here in Vienna, Vienna University of Economics and Business established a new research institute for crypto economics in 2018. And I think you probably want to, attract the most diverse talent that you can. And you can see here, of course, is to have a sizable market always helps. That's, of course, here the figure for the CEE region that includes Russia. And it's good to have financially literate clients. And if I may, in the next slide, point your attention to the high digital penetration. So the 70% here, those are people above 15 years of age that use the internet to pay bills, shop online, receive digital payments. So that's very high here in Austria. And of course, this is something that's maybe obvious, but I think it's important to mention that how important it is to have a central geographic location, how important it is that you have the right excellent infrastructure. I don't know if you came here by public transport. I did, and the ÖBB is working. And of course, there are the international transport links that are so important that we saw in Hong Kong, how having an international airport that connects you to the world is so important. And here in Vienna, I think, especially strong on quality of life. I mean, Vienna invariably comes number 1 or 2 in various rankings of the quality of life of global cities. And of course, the vital startup ecosystem is so important. Here in Vienna, we accelerate, and there's the Tabakfabrik in Linz, I think, that were recently created and are very central in the city center, and of course provide the space that you need to give a house and a home for the activities of fintech companies. And the next one here, just a spotlight, shining a spotlight on the Austrian fintech landscape. You can see that, of course, in funding terms, good news is funding has risen. It's not as impressive, of course, as in places such as London and other bigger and world-leading financial centers, but it is sizable. Stuff is happening, and you can see here quite interesting and nice, actually, variety of the top 10 funded companies in Austria from those different verticals, from loans to insurtech to payments. And I think you can see, of course, that PSD2 looming large, open banking, that most of the activities are, of course, still in the retail banking side of things. I earlier mentioned what the government are doing. Federal Ministry of Finance convened a FinTech Advisory Board, whose role is to promote growth through regulation as a means of safeguarding standards, of course. And And one of the biggest boosts of the local fintech ecosystems came from the announcement by the Unica Group, Speed Invest and RBI, to provide a total investment of up to 50 million euros into Europe's fintech growth phase. So that's interesting to note. Over at the stock exchange, there were news here from in June that the Albanian and Vienna exchanges signed an agreement. And let me read this to you. Signed a market data cooperation agreement where data vendors can now access market data from Albania via the Vienna Stock Exchange's central data feed. That's great, and this demonstrates how two stock exchanges can benefit from each other's strengths and possibilities, sharing knowledge and technology. And of course, it's to do with the further alignment of countries such as Albania with EU standards in anticipation of EU membership. And then, quite interesting, I think I wanted to mention them, N26 as a challenger bank that is so strong in the German-speaking countries. And of course, the guys had their humble beginnings in their student flat in 2013. There are various legends around their first presentation, which can still be found, I think, on the internet. But so I think the choice for Vienna fell exactly here to choose it as that place for that new tech hub, especially for those reasons that I pointed out earlier, to do with the transport network, connectivity, infrastructure, and that vital ecosystem of startups here at the V-Accelerate space. So these are a few impressions from your left-hand side. Who can name the name of this man here? It's Ben Brabin, the level 39 head, and to the right is Nina Rodanko, Fintech Finland. Just to mention a few, you can find a lot of those impressions on my Instagram, of course. I don't want to bore you with pictures, but what I'm trying to convey with this picture is that building ecosystems and doing that is fun and can be fun. And it's important to meet the real people in where they are. And later you will also see this gentleman who is currently here, shaded over, Don from Holland Fintech. But without further ado, to my next business model changes slide. I think here you can again read for yourself, challenges and incumbents alike face a new competitive threat. I think that comes from outside the financial industry altogether, and it's those companies that are really non-financial services companies that are coming through, that are of course from the retail and hotel and other fields that are providing fintech solutions. So that's quite interesting to see what could be done in terms of partnership with those. What I found interesting is that SMEs worldwide, this is according to an EY research, have now adopted fintech around, this is the global adoption rate, 25% of SMEs have adopted fintech globally. And if you look then at the Austrian SME landscape, we have here 337,000 companies, 99.6% of the Austrian economy are SMEs employing 2 million people. And if you then say, okay, maybe the rate of fintech adoption is a bit lower, but there are huge opportunities in a country like Austria. Emerging trends. Just quickly, I think many Austrian fintech companies have switched their focus from acquiring a license to cooperating with licensees. So it's really the cooperation model with the financial institutions, and that is the proof is in the pudding that by end of May 2018, less than a handful of fintechs held licenses of their own. PSD2, I mentioned already, is of course looming large. Retail banking prevailing vertical, but I think insurance is an important sector in Austria. It creates opportunities for innovation. Popular solutions are insurance comparison sites and so on. So I think innovative entrants can make a difference here. I mentioned what the regulator is doing in terms of innovating, but of course they still have their old approach of same risk, same business, same rules. Just a few pointers, maybe pointing out the obvious, but I think if you want to build your comprehensive fintech ecosystem, and if you're part of that, I think networking is ultimately very important. The cooperation is important. To build partnerships and that are lasting is super important. To build diverse and inclusive teams, and of course not forgetting your customers and markets. And if you want to have a chat with me afterwards to find out more what I can do, but also want to learn from you, then please reach out, get in touch, and I hope a friendly giant is overlooking your activities. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Thorsten. Give applause. Thank you. It was a pleasure.